Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this dissertation internship information session. I'm Adina, the founder of Tianmei's World Academy, or my Chinese name, Qiu Tianmei. And I will not talk about my introduction too much for now, because my experience will actually come out throughout the information session. But if you have any questions or you would want to find out more, you're very welcome to contact me through the information provided at the end of this information session. So what we are going to go through this information session, I'm sure that many of you have already seen the introduction of the dissertation internship. If you haven't, it's still not too late. You can always go to the introduction of the project. But today I'm going to take you through a bit project's history. I will also give you an introduction about environmental psychology, EP, first, for those of you who are not exposed to or not aware of what the discipline is. I will also give you some examples of actual projects, dissertations that were written in the company to give you a bit of a better idea. And again, what is the overall project's connection to Tianmei's World Academy? What role does it play? Why do we do it? And some potential topics to explore through dissertations, but also maybe some frequently asked questions. Hopefully that will shed a bit more light on what are the students that participate in this project expected to do, but also how we can work together to create more value, because that's what we're trying to do. Now, what is environmental psychology? Let's start from here, because a lot of people might have heard about it, might have not, and not very sure what it is and why is it relevant for Tianmei's World Academy's work, and what we can do to use it. Why is it important in our daily life? So environmental psychology is a discipline, right? It studies the influence that different environments, both physical and social, have on human behavior and mindset formation. Human behavior here, we include everything human related. So we talk about learning outcome, work productivity, well, anything, including our memories, actually. And mindset formation is just how our ideas are shaped by the environments in which we live, both physical and social. Now, why aren't a lot of people familiar with this discipline, even though it's been around since the 70s? The reasons that I found for this is because this is a very academic field. So there's a lot of research going into the academic world, going on into the academic world, but because of the terminology, because of the terms used and the requirements that the academic field has, it's quite difficult to understand by others without research background, without having this academic background. And another reason is that this work is published only in academic journals that are usually very expensive and difficult to access if you're not working in an academic environment. And to be fair, they're so expensive that if you don't have a dire need, like you need to do research and so on, then a lot of people would not be willing to pay this money, or if they would be willing, they could not afford it anyway. To give you an idea, maybe an article could be somewhere like $20 minimum, and that would be like 4 or 5 pages of information. So that's just too much for the average user, let's say. So what are some of the research questions that we look at in environmental psychology? Well, how different environments like family, school, office, hospital, public space, basically any type of environment affects people's psychological state, perception, feelings of well-being, attitude, behavior, learning outcome, or productivity. So as long as there are people and spaces in this interaction, there's going to be an influence. And in environmental psychology, we research that relationship. Other research questions: how can individuals and groups change their environments to reduce stress, maximize their potential, increase work productivity, enhance learning outcomes? So if we know that different environments, both physical and social, have an influence on us, either by ourselves or in groups, well, why not understand that influence and learn how to design environments that are suitable for ourselves and for our needs. Also, another direction, another research question is, what is the connection between our personality and the environment we were brought up in? A lot of people think, well, I'm an introvert, but actually that's not necessarily the case. There is a possibility that the growing up environment has not supported into finding out the extrovert side of one person. So this is also something that environmental psychology looks at. And also, last but not least, we always say that different environments influence behavior. Well, in return, because environments influence our behavior in return influences different environments. So that will translate into how do we use environmental design to influence pro-environmental behavior. So how do we actually use our environments to create to facilitate pro-environmental behavior. So this is another area that psychology, that environmental psychology deals with. Now, a lot of people will say about, well, a different environment, I want a better environment, what is an environment? And so we always talk about environments, but very few times we actually took the time to understand, well, what is an environment? Well, many people think, well, an environment is place. Many people think, well, no, environment is people. And the environment does include these things. However, there are other elements that shape the environment. And I created here a diagram that hopefully will give more clarity to what an environment is, what are the elements that compose it, and how we can use it to create better environments for ourselves. And so on the screen you have two tools that we use all the time in our work. One is the definition of the environment, and it's kind of like that system in which we live in. And then, as you can see on the right hand, or the right side of the screen, we live at the intersection between the physical environment and social environment. So all these things, this intersection, are personal abilities, learning outcome, behavior, personality, mindset, work productivity, you name it. They're the results of this interaction. So that's why you can see blue, red, and then the interaction as being purple according to the code of colors. And why do you have language there is because language is an element of the environments that we live, work, learn in. But it's also the liaison between a lot of other elements. So we express ourselves through language, but also in return, language, the way we understand it, will shape our mindset and so on. So it's a big discussion on this topic, but it's just to give you an idea about how do we understand the environment and this connection in our work. If you want to know more about these issues, you can always get in touch, and I'm happy to explore much more. Now, let's look at the dissertation internship, or I call it 毕业论文实习, if you're a Chinese student. And what is actually the project history? I'll focus a lot more on the history here and how this project came about. Not talk too much about the project itself, because you can see that information on our website. But the project history and how, like, the amount of work that went into designing this project is not so widely available. So it all started with my own experience. I've always been a very curious person, but on the other side, I've always been a very confused person, because I still like so many things. I like doing a lot of things. I've changed a lot of jobs, and I was always on this search for, what is suitable for me, like what do I want to do, like why do I often feel the need to change. It seemed that everyone around me was very, so-called stable, not changing jobs and doing not doing many things. But I always felt the need, like I want to go there, I want to see that, I want to I changed a lot of jobs in different fields as well. I'm an urban planner by background. I later on changed to customer service sales training because of the financial crisis in 2008. I've even been a tree climbing instructor, as you can see on the screen. So I've done so many jobs that I was always wondering, like, why. And later on, in an attempt to come back to my field, urban planning, architectural design, I kind of responded to the invitation of a former university colleague. She was already in China at the time, so I moved back. I moved to China, sorry, and then I tried to go back to the urban planning architecture field, but it didn't really work out. So later on, one thing led to the other. I went to England to study a master's in environmental psychology, because I wanted to understand how, different environments that we design influence human behavior. Then I had the opportunity to come back again to China to study a full year of Chinese language. And then one thing led to the other. Again, I was bored. I started doing events. And then through events, I used events as an observation tool to get feedback from audience, and slowly started doing research through this. I will not mention the amount of events that we've done, but overall there were 4 years of constantly doing events, different types. So there was the opportunity to use events as a research tool. Also having some academic background, I was able to combine these two. At the very beginning, we started with 20 times 20 talks, and then brain corner events. Then later on, these things evolved. And what was most important is, or was the data that was obtained following this, and the conclusion that we drew. So one thing that one thing that this led to was to have the academy as it is today, and a lot of the projects that we have, not only the dissertation internship, and I will get to how the dissertation internship came about, but just to give you a bit of insight on how the company and everything that we do came about. Just doing this ongoing research, doing these so many events has allowed me to understand how, like, what different people, different groups of people, what needs they have, what problems are they facing, and then be able to turn that into solutions that could give them value and could give us value. So then you can understand this as doing academic research and data collection through event management. But then because we were doing that, there was also an opportunity to apply, test, and adjust these services or these products, these projects through every event. And as it happens, because I started my master's in 2014, that no 13, sorry, that's when I moved to England to do my master's in environmental psychology. But then because I had the opportunity to come back to China and study Chinese, I interrupted my studies in England. However, I didn't give up. And at some point, I needed to submit my dissertation. So I was in the situation of having to run a company, a business, but also having to write my dissertation. So I kind of started thinking, like, what do I do? I don't have enough time. So that's when the idea came to me. You know, there's this disconnection between the academic fields, the academic world, and business anyway. So I started thinking about, how do I turn my dissertation into a company's project? How do I combine the two? And so then my work became my dissertation. I used the information that I got from the site to write my dissertation. And the reason you see these pictures on the screen is because that's the location where I did my dissertation. And then what I feel came out of it, well, was more efficient use of time, of course, but also more value was created as a result. And I will tell a bit about a bit more about my dissertation topic at the time. So my title was The Way to the Way, the influence of stressful wayfinding experiences on the intentions, or the intention, user intention to revisit a place or a venue. So the problem there was that this venue that I did my research on was very difficult to find. Wayfinding is a concept that we work a lot with in environmental psychology. And so while doing events, I had heard a lot of people complaining about the fact that this place is very difficult to find. And so that's when the idea came, like, what about I do an event? I do my dissertation on this topic on wayfinding. So the problem there was that the venue was difficult to find, so that triggered very few clients. Then they had really high cost of operation because the surface of the venue is quite big, and there was this risk of bankruptcy. The research methods that I used through the process was observation, of course, trying to understand how the very few people that were going to that venue were using the space. What were the problems, not only from the client point of view, but also from the employee's point of view. I've done surveys, so at some point I organized so many events there in that venue just for me to be able to collect the data. So I was doing events for the company, but then at the same time I was collecting information for my own dissertation. And also at some point I did a focus group as another research method to just, I invited different people to attend the focus group and to discuss with them like, how do you feel about this place? Literally, like, how do you find the wayfinding process and so on. And I did some discourse analysis on that. I was, of course, able to submit my dissertation in time, and I was able to graduate my master's program. But I was also able to provide more value beyond just the event management to the venue. So I created, and I got to contribute to academic research, but also use academic research to solve actual problems in the world. So as a result, I was able to give this venue some suggestions on how to improve the wayfinding experience, how to get some, like, to amend here and there the small, tiny problems that they had. With the design of their environment, so that they can enhance a user experience and attract people to always come back, and then kind of reduce the cost of operation, avoid bankruptcy, and increase their number of clients. So this is just one example of how environmental psychology was applied in a real life situation. But also, it's just an example to show that academic work and, let's say, business can come together in order to create more value for everyone involved. And so you would ask yourself, well, what is Tianmei's World Academy? What is its mission? It's actually very, very easy. I position the academy in between an academic, so I consider it a hybrid, and between an academic institution and social entrepreneurship project. What we do, we're not doing so we're doing it for profit because we have expenses, we need to develop. So profit is needed to reinvest in the development of the company and create more value. But at the same time, the idea is to build bridges and create more value, really. Because there's this, what I realized also through my own experience is that there's this disconnection between all the research that happens in the academic world and the rest, the business world, the non-for-profit, and so on. So our mission literally is to build these bridges, create more value. And one of the ideas was that, especially also in my own experience, in many universities, students do have to write a dissertation to graduate. And very often students do struggle to find a dissertation topic. What are they interested in? What they could research. But then another problem is that very often their work is going to be graded, and it's going to be put somewhere in the library, but not many people will actually learn about it, read about it, unless there are other students that are going to read the material for their own research purposes. So the effort is there. It feels like it's a bit of a waste not being able to capitalize, to maximize that effort into creating more value and build this bridge between the academic world and, well, basically the rest of the world. And then hopefully through this, students can also gain more practical experience, as in how do we apply academic research into the real world and make a more direct connection. So you might also wonder, you've seen an example of one project, how it how I did it. But then there are other topics as well that we are very keen on exploring. And you would say, well, wow, that's all over the place. Well, it is because we do, one of the things that we try to promote out there is this diversity and inclusiveness. And diversity and inclusiveness is including the variety of different fields, different topics that we can explore, but also it's about creating that interconnectedness, that system, right? Everything we do is in a system. It's just the system has different elements. So it's just by combining all these angles under the same umbrella, which is the academy, we actually have the opportunity to create that system and create more value. So if you were to be someone interested in just focusing on the four research questions in environmental psychology and explore how different environmental elements influence different aspects of human behavior, mindset formation, and so on, you're welcome to choose that. If you're interested in sustainability, we basically everything that we've done and how we've developed the academy and all the services are taking into consideration the SDGs. And I'm happy to share more about the academy and how we do things if you want to know about that. So you can either take the academy as a study case in your dissertation. If you're someone interested in entrepreneurship, then you can explore how we have developed as a startup company and how, this like, how do you balance being a startup company, being in need of a revenue to be sustainable, but also kind of create more value in being this hybrid between an academic institution. So we're doing academic research, but even though we're not publishing in academic journals, we're disseminating and we're making that research available to the rest of the world. We turn that into applicable projects and services. If you're someone interested more on the education side, you can also explore how we include diversity in our educational methods and how these impact learning outcomes, mental health. We have been doing quite a few projects on that. So you're welcome to either go through our website. There is a lot more information there. And we also have a YouTube channel that you can look at with different lectures. If you're in China, we also have Bilibili or a Tencent video, so you can have a better understanding of some of the topics that we're looking at and how we are trying to impact education, traditional education systems through the methodology that we put out there. If you're someone studying literature, for example, we welcome that as well. It's about that openness, being open to new possibilities. You are very welcome to use environmental psychology principles to analyze the connection between different authors' writing style and their growing up environment. So, for example, what determined them to write in that particular style? Is there anything to do with a past experience that they had? And again, it's kind of finding that connection between personality, writing style, and growing up environment. If you're someone looking into how to, like language studies, you're also very welcome to study the effectiveness of our immersive native-like language learning environments that we help create. If you want to know more about that, you're also welcome to connect. And literally, basically, based on what I've mentioned about what environmental psychology is, about the projects that we do, you're welcome to come up with your own idea of projects that you would like to work on and kind of get in touch with us, tell us your idea, and we can try to find ways to work together. You might a lot of people would or have asked, but so does that mean that I do the dissertation just with you and then I don't do it with my university? No, that's not the case. So you are going to proceed as you would have done normally with your dissertation, searching for a professor in your own university, discussing with them, but it's just choosing a topic that is related to the areas that we research as well. And then that would mean that whatever information that you need on our side, whatever additional support, mentorship that you need on our side, you will have it. But then the main work, the dissertation, is still your dissertation. You're still going to have to work with your professor in your university. But then that will mean that you will have literally two advisors, one on the academic side, academic requirements to write your dissertation, but then the other one on the data and everything related to the topic that you choose as additional guidance. So there's more examples of other dissertations that were written somehow under this project on the website, so you can have a read, see how they've done it. So we're quite open in terms of the themes that we want to work with, and it's just because we do want to show that environmental psychology is very broad yet very interesting, and it's that freedom to explore the areas that we're interested in. If you're wondering whether you're limited to the English language, no. You can write your dissertation in the language that your university asks you to. We don't, we promote inclusiveness, so we do want to get more research done in more languages. And so if you decide to join this project, your main priority will be to get your dissertation written in the language that your university asks you to. What will happen with the dissertation after you have submitted it? We want to have a yearly publication. It's not going to be an academic journal. It's going to be a publication that we can make available to a broader audience. But then because all the dissertation topics that will be written are directly related or are in one way or the other related to the work that Cambridge World Academy is doing. So then this allows us to make this work available to a broader audience, not only to the academic world. So it's kind of, if you wish, more of a trade. You have to, as a student, you do have to write your dissertation with or without us. And on our side, we are going to do research with or without you. However, if we come together, we are able to do much more meaningful research, more work, and create more value for everyone around, and be able to build this bridge between the academic environment and the non-academic environment, and do more applied research or directly applied research. If you have any other questions, or you are you still feel that there are some questions that I haven't answered, or you have your own ideas, you're very welcome to get in touch. Because this project is at this point at the very beginning, every year we aim to accept about 20 students in this project. So if you are someone interested in joining, get in touch with us as soon as possible. Tell us your idea, or we can explore together a topic that can satisfy your needs to submit your dissertation to graduate, but also that is connected with the type of research that we do, the areas that we're interested in. And so welcome to get in touch. You have here our email address, tianmeisworld@outlook.com. If you want to have a recap of the content of the project, you can go on our website, tianmeisworldacademy.com/students mentoring program. And you can also get in touch with me on LinkedIn to share more about your thoughts, and we can take it from there. Thank you for listening. I hope I've managed to shed a bit more light on why we're doing this project. It's a nonprofit project. I need to mention that it's just aimed to create more value